Hi there, it's Vicky McCarthy. Thanks for joining me. Today we have a Copic marker tutorial, and these are the colours that we'll be using. I'll have all of these markers listed under the description. Now normally when you're using Copic markers, you're going to use Memento ink and you're going to use Copic multi-liners for your lines. But today I have something slightly different, which I'll show you in a moment. You need the Expressit blending journal. And this is the journal that I use, and you can see how it actually does bleed through. Now, I take this down to the caravan with me, and I like drawing, having this on my lap, which is why I don't pull the pages out first. So what I'm going to do is I'll go back through this journal and find somewhere where I can use part of that paper for the card that I'm putting together today. So I can use this piece. And what I'm going to use with it are these stickers, which are like peel craft stickers. And I thought this might be an easy technique to show you first off. So I'm going to use this sticker at the bottom. And all you need to do is peel them off. And they're made of a black plastic. You can see I've caught a little bit there. So I'm going to pop that back on that picture. And when you lay them down, just be careful laying them down so they lay down nice and flat. You can see I've got that little bit. I'm going to pop that back on there, and I might be able to create a card out of this black and white piece later on just by cutting that out onto a black and white card. That would look quite pretty, I think. Now there are some extra pieces here, flowers and the front of her dress, and they're going to pop up to give a 3D effect at the end. Now here are the colours I'm going to start off with first. I have 3 colours here, and these are going to be the colours for her flowers, the large flowers. Always start off with your light colour first. Now there's a reason for this. You want your paper to be wet so that the colours can start blending. Now I'm using my medium colour and going back in with the light colour over the top again. Now I'm using the darkest colour. And I want the dark colours in near the centre of the flower, so that's why I'm using that. You can see I've gone back in with the light colour over the top again. You want to always be using that light colour as the means of letting the colours blend around the paper. So start off by thoroughly wetting the paper with the light colour, and this allows the colours to move around much more easily. Each time I go in with the light, then I go with the medium colour next. Medium colour goes in, the light goes back on again. Now the darkest colour, and I'm blending it out with the light colour again. And that just means that you won't get any lines on your work. Lightest colour first, medium colour, light colour again. Darkest colour, light colour again. And that's really all there is to it. And of course, if you're going to use 4 or 5 colours, well, you just have to keep blending a little bit more. Now I'm coming in with the colours for her dress. Again, I have 3 colours, a light, medium and dark, and this will be the same process. And all you really need to remember is that that light colour needs to come back in and blend those colours together each time so that you don't get a line down your work. Now coming in with the darkest. I've decided that the light is coming from the left-hand side of this little drawing, so I'm going to make sure that the darker colours are shaded on the right-hand side. So the right of her dress is going to be slightly darker than the left-hand side, as you can see it there. Each time coming in and blending back out with the light colour. Now from time to time you might find that you go outside the lines. However, with this peel craft, it's actually terrific because it acts like a little dam. It stops your colours from bleeding. It's really good for beginners to work with. But if you do happen to go outside the lines, you just come in with your colourless blender and you lift off that piece of colour that's in the wrong spot. Now, as you can see, I've sped this up quite a bit, particularly for the dress, because the dress takes quite a long time to colour. So I didn't want you to have to sit and watch all the way through it very slowly, so I've sped it right up. You can see it's the same process that I've used throughout. I'm just using light, then medium, and coming back in and covering the medium with the light, and then dark, and then covering it all up with the light colour again. With the dress, I'm trying to achieve a little bit of shading here in those pleats, I guess they are at the front. And also at the bottom of the dress, I want the bottom of the dress to be slightly darker, and I want the right-hand side of the dress to be slightly darker. Now, I rushed this a little bit, even though it's sped up. I actually rushed it while I was doing it, and I probably could have got this to blend a little bit better. I wasn't quite happy when I finished this with how I had blended it, because you can see it's a little bit streaky there. And really, I think the reason was that I was trying to get too deep a contrast in the base of the dress. What I ended up doing at the end was, when I'd finished this dress, I actually went back and worked all the way over the top of it again, using the same techniques with the light, the medium, the light, the dark, the light. So always keep coming back to that lightest colour, because that's what's going to blend all your colours together. It's a little bit hard to see on this too, because the paper gets quite wet and the ink becomes quite dark, much darker than it looks when it dries. And I found out that once this dried, I was actually a little bit more pleased with the result than it looks right now. But you want to try and avoid those lines that you can see there by just working a little bit more solidly on your blending. I was a little bit too involved with getting the shading in, and when I went back over it the second time, I was much happier. And you can see I'm bringing the light colour in and just blending everything out. You can see it's starting to blend much better now. Now here's the yellows, and I'm going to use the yellow for the centre of the flowers, but also for the background. And the background, I'm just going to use the lightest colour only, and put a little bit of the darker colour on the right-hand side of the girl when I come up to the right-hand side, just in the shades there. You can see I'm putting a bit of shade there behind the flower. Again, same principle, starting with the lightest, then the medium, then cover it with light, then go to your dark, then blend it with the medium, with the light, and then keep going until you build up the colour that you want. It's not all that difficult once you understand the process. What you're really doing is blending the colours, and in order to do that, you have to keep the page wet, and you have to start from light to dark. Always coming back in with the light colour to blend it again. You can see I'm putting some shadows in there with a darker colour. You can see it's slightly darker on the right hand side. And here I am. I started really fussing with this dress because I kept looking at it thinking, oh no, it's a bit streaky. I'm going to come back in, and I pretty much redid it. But that's okay. You can do this. You can keep layering it. If you can see streaks, then just go back in and do a bit more. Mainly with the background, it's all the lightest colour yellow, and the shading is on the right hand side or just under the flowers. The rest is all plain yellow, the light colour. And you can see I'm going in with the colourless blender there, where I went outside the lines just before I add the pink, the darker pink for her belt. Now these are the skin tones. You can see I've got 5 skin tones going there. I'm just going to shuffle those around so you can read the numbers a bit better. So they're the tones that I'm working on with the skin, and starting off with the lightest, getting the paper wet, and coming in with the next colour, shading that in, and then the next lightest colour, which is the third colour. And I ended up doing her face with almost, I guess, a line down the centre, because she's darker on one side than the other. There I go in with the light colour, blending it all in again. And now her decollete the same way, and the shading will be more shaded on the right hand side, and particularly under her neck. So going in with the lightest colour, because I've got 5 colours here, I'm not doing any of the blush colours yet. This is all the brown colours, and then I added some blush at the end. Okay, now for her hair, I have 5 colours again. And I'm just picking up what I think will be, oops, knocked everything over there. I'm picking up what I think will be the lightest colours first, and then going in and creating shade near the part line and underneath her hair at the back and where the folds are. So just where you feel the light would hit, that's the lighter section, and then the darker colour is for the shadows underneath. Now I'm going in the next side with the lighter colour first. You can see quite clearly here that I'm delineating where I think the light's going to hit. So I've almost drawn a line across there, which looks a bit odd. There's the colourless marker going, you know, smudged a bit. And now I'm coming in with the mediums. I think this is the third one. There's the light one again, coming in with the fourth one. And then the light again, and then the really dark colour last. And you can see how that's just giving a really nice effect of shadow under her hair. Now what I realised after I'd finished this drawing, and you can see I have a bit of trouble putting this little piece on, but it's okay because you can lift it up and you can move it around a bit. It doesn't really stick solid for quite a while. So even there I had a little bit that I needed to fix up. You can see it's not quite right. So you can play with it a little bit on this blending paper. What I should have done, however, with this, and I realise it now, was I should have put these pieces on right from the beginning. And as I had the pink out, I could have finished all 4 flowers. And as I had the dress colours out, I could have finished all of those. It just would have been a little bit quicker than me having to go through and now get all my other pens out and start again. But I did. You can see I'm still not happy with that dress, so I've gone back in and done a little bit more blending. And finally it ended up quite dark, and when I was finished with it, I liked the effect in the end. And each time you go over something like this, you really have to make sure that the paper gets quite saturated so the colours can move around again. Now, I'm not showing how I made the flowers and the front of the dress because I've already done those and you've already seen how I coloured those. Now I've got all the elements for putting the card together. I'm using Banner Greetings and Strawberry Slush ink, Strawberry Slush cardstock, Bermuda Bay cardstock, and Daffodil Delight cardstock. And I'm cutting those out with my scissors. Now, if I actually had the banner framelits, this would be really easy, but I don't have them, so I'm using my snips. And I'm leaving a small amount of white around the edge of that banner. And you can see now that I've brought it in closer, there is a very thin white border around the edge, which I've purposely left because it matches the white writing. And now I have some Bermuda Bay, and I'm really just going to eyeball this, just so that it's a bigger version of that banner. And you can see with the cardstock behind me there that the Strawberry Slush cardstock I've run through the embossing folder with the Petals Are Plenty embossing folder, which I thought worked really well with the daisy flowers that are on the Copic Girl that I've been colouring. I've also used the oval framelits to cut out the Bermuda Bay piece, and now it's just a matter of popping it all together and putting all the layers on. I'm using double-sided tape because I want that embossed piece to stay really firmly onto the card. And I think this double-sided tape is a little bit firmer than the snail for that purpose. Just trim off the edges. And normally I'd use a paper piercer to get this off, but I just don't know where I put my paper piercer, so I'm using the tips of my paper snips. Just layering that onto the Daffodil Delight piece. And now I just want to use my Tombow multi-adhesive to give a really firm hold to this focal image piece. And now I'm going to use some dimensionals cut in half to pop up those 3D elements on the picture itself. So here's the little dress front of the bodice, right in the centre. Just using half a dimensional on that and just popping it directly over the bodice piece. You can see that that actually does look three-dimensional. Now another half a dimensional on the back of the flower, the daisy. And same again on the other side. And this almost has a stained glass effect It's a very pretty little piece. I'm very happy with how it turned out in the end. Now with the banner greetings, I'm putting 2 full-size dimensionals on the back and a couple of half dimensionals on the little greeting. And just centering that. And then I'm just playing around with how I want it to sit on the card before I adhere finally to the card. And again, I'm going to use the Tombow Multi because the 3-dimensional part of the card is popping up by itself. So I wanted the focal image to sit flat against the card and let those 3-dimensional parts of the little girl's drawing be the main part of the image that sticks forward. And there we have it, all finished. So I'm really excited to hear that Stampin' Up! Are bringing in some markers like Copics. I'm certainly going to be ordering a whole set for myself. I'm really looking forward to playing with these new tools. Thanks for watching. I hope you found that helpful, and I hope to hear from you soon. Bye for now.